Zieks I.
If you want my future, forget my past.
If you wanna get with me, better make it fast. Now don't go wasting my precious time. Get your act together, we could be just fine. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna really, really, really wanna Zieks I.
What you think about that? Now you know how I feel.
Say you could handle my love, are you for real? I won't be hasty, I'll give you a try. If you really bug me, then I'll say goodbye. Yo, here's a story from A to Z. You wanna get with me, you gotta listen carefully. We got slam your body down and wine it all around. Slam your body down and wine it all around. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Slam your body down and wine it all around. Slam your body down and wine it all around.
If you wanna be my lover, you have got to give. Taking is too easy, but that's the way it is.
Slam your body down and Zieks I.
All right, we are in it. I was muted for a second, but I am good now. Oh god, that's loud on my end. Is that loud on the stream, Zed? Doesn't look it. I guess that's just a me problem. I will turn that down for me. Just a good fair bit. All right, we are back with more of the Great Ace Attorney, and this time we're gonna be doing that third case of Great Ace Attorney 2, the one I've heard a bit about. Just a little bit. Just a smidge. Just a taste. Just a little. Okay, that was a bit much. But I've heard a thing or two. Nothing spoilery, just that it's a pretty good case, according to a good chunk of Great Ace Attorney fans. So that has my hopes a little up. Not insanely high, but, you know, high enough to where I am, you know, I'm expecting something good. I mean, not that the rest of the game hasn't been, like, utterly fantastic so far, because it has. We've had banger after banger after banger after... Case 4 was fine, but probably the least banger of the bunch after banger, and it's just been... It's been a delight. But now, we're going to get into the return of the great departed soul and see what that is all about. Let's go! Let's see what's going on here.
The grand end of the century great exhibition of London.
Ah, end of the century. That puts a little more perspective as to where we are on the timeline, I guess. That makes okay. That changes a few things as to where this is placed. Yeah.
Converged on Hyde Park,
All right. Okay.
welcoming over 50 million visitors.
50 million.
The last great
Jeez.
hurrah of this century. Astonished and delighted people of all nations, and ended on a note of resounding success.
Well, that's good.
But as regards to the terrible
Well, I mean, of course, there's a
catastrophe
catch.
that occurred during the festivities, very few were aware my friend Mr. Herlock Sholmes had a hand in unraveling the matter.
Mm-hmm.
For from the shadows, it was he who earnestly unearthed the facts of the case. And like the centerpiece of the great exhibition, which rose high into the skies of Hyde Park, Sholmes's brilliant deductions, as clear and lofty as the Crystal Tower itself, brought the truth to
Crystal
light.
Tower. So that's what's going on. Okay. Yeah. All right.
We're here at the showground of the Great Exhibition, which is absolutely
shit.
packed with people.
Seems like Game 2 has a good bit more voice acting than Game
The
1.
weather is unusually fine, and we're about to witness a most extraordinary scientific experiment.
Oh, for real? Oh, look at these funky fellas. Guy in the middle looks like a Leighton character. I need to stop saying that. But it's true, so many NPCs in this game have like a sort of Leighton-esque charm to them.
Horse-drawn carts will give way to the motor car. Ships will sprout wings and take to the skies. And today, we showcase even more advanced technology. A glimpse into the future.
Okay.
A world first. A demonstration of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Well, somebody's amped up.
A man will literally be disassembled by a pulse of high voltage electricity.
Oh, we're gonna do
and
this.
to another location, whereupon his body will be reassembled by a series of complex calculations, exactly as it was before.
Teleportation seems to be a bit of a... never seems to go well, but you know. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, it's really neat seeing like fully animated Ace Attorney character. I know we had some of that in Spirit of Justice, but like still, it's just neat to it's always neat considering, you know, how limited the series was during its origins, I suppose. It's come so far, my son, my sweet child.
These gentlemen will, in the blink of an eye, complete an incredible journey through the air. To arrive an instant later on the Crystal Tower behind you!
Alright. I can tell they had a fun time in the voicing booth this time. Well, that's one way to start us off, I guess. Whew, okay.
Runo! Runo, are you listening?
Oh, sorry, what was that, Iris?
What's the matter with you, huh? You've been miles away all morning. Did you like what I cooked for breakfast?
No, that's not it at all. What were we talking about again?
Today's paper! It's full of news about the Great Exhibition again.
Ah, yeah, the Great Exhibition. I'd like to go sometime.
You're really not your usual self today. You seem very down. Would you agree, Hurley?
Seems like Hurley is also depressed. Did you say something, Iris?
Oh gosh, you're even more down.
Ah! When did you arrive, Mr. Naruhodo? I've been here for about half an hour already. We had breakfast together. What? Why didn't you mention it before? I, thought you might have known I was here. You know, because... breakfast. Iris is quite right. You're clearly lacking in vim. So much so that I didn't notice your presence. Thanks. Of course, I could deduce the reason perfectly well with some simple observations. What? Let's see here. Yes, for example, your tousled hair this morning with those unruly spikes. Clearly, it can be deduced, therefore, that... let me stop you there, Mr. Sholmes, because I think I can see where this is going. My hair always looks like this. It always has. Ever since we first met, in fact. Oh, really? How interesting. It just doesn't look like a haircut as such, I suppose. Thanks again. It crossed my mind recently that it's been 6 months now.
6 months?
Since I was forbidden from working in court. So I've been wondering how much longer I'm going to be banned.
Oh, well, that would explain why you seem rather glum.
Did we ever get... Pardon my dumbass brain, but... Is this whole being banned from court thing, was that like a result of case 5 from the first game that I just just went in one ear and out the other for me? Or is this like a thing they haven't addressed yet and they're going to address in due time? I could see it going either way, but maybe the game will tell me in a minute. So maybe asking is a bit of a, you know, a bit useless.
Don't you agree, Hurley?
Did you say something, Iris? Ah, back to moping. What's the matter with Sholmes today? He seems even more down in the dumps than me.
I know, and the great exhibition is open. You'd think he'd be excited. Oh, why don't we all go see it together?
I want to, of course I do, but I can't. Not for the time being. Why not? Why not? Why not? Because I'm a great detective after all. So you're embroiled in some tricky case that you can't be distracted from, is that it?
I don't remember hearing that you're working on a case, Hurley.
I suppose I should try to find out what's going on. Okay, well, first things first. What's on the board today? Yeah, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today? The Blue Carbuncle. Oh yeah, we've seen this one. Oh wait, I've heard this one before. You heard it before? It's brand new!
It's a case of a theft Hurley solved ages ago, theft of a precious stone.
A carbuncle's never made for garnet, especially if it's cut with a round at the top. Okay, and the garnet was blue.
That's the thing, they're usually red, no blue garnets have been discovered.
Oh, okay. All right, let's talk. Well, actually, I know what'll cheer you up. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, about this. Shh, not another word. Ah, yes, I see. This would be a collar for a breed of miniature canine with a particularly long neck, and for winter use. Actually, it's the armband I always wear that symbolizes my role as a defense lawyer. Precisely, which leads us to but one conclusion. Your arm is in fact the particularly long neck of a miniature canine. I'm starting to wish I'd never shown him this now. This man's barking mad. I should do that more often. There's really charming dialogue behind all that shit. Half a year ago now, I took on the defense of a young girl at a trial her at the Old Bailey. Okay, so it was the latter, a thing we haven't heard about yet. Okay. What at first seemed like a simple case of murder that took place at a London pawnbrokery. Not to be one. No, okay, no wait, this was the case 5 thing. Okay. My brain is scrambled today, y'all. I'm sorry. Am I in the right mindset to be playing this? No. Am I going to? Yes, because I need it. During the course of the trial, it was found that I made an unavoidable, yet at the same time, unforgivable mistake. Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo! Yes, my lord! I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. In the end, I had my right to represent people in court revoked. I was told I had to spend my time in research and study, so that's what I've been doing.
You have, haven't you, Bruno? Reading all those big fat tomes about British law up in your room and the notes about Sholmes' old cases?
Brewing Iris's special blends of tea, fetching my daily bread for me. You've become something of a manservant around here. Starting the silverware next, Master Naruhodo. Well, I think I'm going to ask the powers that be to reconsider. Specifically Lord Strongheart at the British Supreme Court on Whitehall. Oh shit, we're gonna go talk to the man in charge? Okay.
Lord Strongheart?
Ah, the delightful Lord Chief Justice. Not my favorite fellow. He's not mine either, but he's the man I have to talk to. He's the only one who can grant permission for me to start working in the courts again. I came to Britain to become the best lawyer I could. I can't do that just by sitting around here. We'll go to Strongheart in a little while. Also, I found out it was either the original Japanese version or in the fan translated version, Strongheart's original name was Vortex, which first off, fucking Jimmy Neutron ass. But second off, man, that sounds more sinister. The whole of London has been swept up in this great exhibition, hasn't it? The most advanced science, the most modern technology, the finest works of art and feats of engineering. For the next 6 months, our capital will be showcasing these things, and the world will be watching.
Oh, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to look down on London from one of those lovely balloons.
Look down on... You mean those things fly?
Yes, of course. They fly high in the sky and they don't even need wings to do it. All you need is hot air.
But how? How does hot air have anything to do with flying? It makes no sense. I can't understand it at all.
That's true of a lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't understand them at first, but in 100 years' time, all these things will be just common knowledge.
I suppose they might be.
Mind you, some of the science being demonstrated seems very questionable. Something went wrong in the open experimentation stage yesterday, apparently. There was a huge explosion. Still, I wish I'd seen it, though. I'd love to see how bad some of them scam experiments really are.
Says the innocent 10-year-old girl. See here, every page of this paper carries some article or other about the Great Exhibition. But the brighter things shine, the darker the shadows that are cast behind them. Personally, I find myself drawn to the darkness, to the impenetrable. That is my proper atmosphere. The Great Exhibition newspaper entered in the court record. Newspaper containing various articles of the world-leading science and technology on show at the Great Exhibition being held in London. Shadows cast behind? Is that a metaphorical way of referring to the back page of the paper? Huh, is that a very unsubtle way of telling me to examine the back of the paper? So many glowing reports about the Great Exhibition and everything that's going on there. Or in this rather gloomy looking one, that is. Wait, what?
What's the matter, Bruno?
The Reaper attacked. That's Lord Van Zieks! What? This must be what Mr. Sholmes was talking about. Also, I see the Altamont Gas Company ad in the corner. That's a nice touch. Does he know any more, I wonder? But what about the lost cat? Okay. Every article on the front page is about the Great Exhibition. Public experiments to demonstrate brand new scientific ideas. Cultural exhibits from around the globe. It's all so positive and hopeful about the coming century. We must all go to see it properly before too long. Are you investigating a particularly tricky case at the moment, Mr. Sholmes? You could say that, I suppose. Nothing more to add? That's not like you. What sort of case is it? Shh! Quiet, Mr. Naruhodo. We must not discuss it here. You never know who might be listening.
You're acting very strange, Hurley.
What do you mean, Iris?
Well, usually, the more mysterious and complicated a case is, the better Hurley's mood.
Ah.
Is it really a case that's bothering you?
Iris, please, you mustn't exercise your astute powers of observation and deduction on me without invitation. Remember what I always say, put yourself in the shoes of the individual about whom you're making deductions. You say that, do you? You, Mr. Sholmes. Never mind. Once I've had a cup of tea, I must make my way at once to the crime scene. That was a deep sigh. Tell me about this article. It says in the paper that Lord Van Zieks was attacked. It's terrible! You know the legend of the Reaper of the Bailey, of course, don't you? Only too well, in fact. Yeah. Prosecutor Barrick Van Zieks. They say that if the Reaper is a prosecutor in a case, there's no salvation for whoever's in the dock. Even if the defendant is found not guilty. Once the Reaper has someone in his sights, one way or another, that person's time left on this earth will be short. London's finest rogues always find ways around the law. They'll stop at nothing to secure an acquittal at trial, falsifying evidence, paying sham witnesses, threatening jurors, bribing judges. But even such devious tactics as these cannot save them from the hand of the Reaper. As you've experienced yourself, haven't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yeah, I've seen the Reaper's retribution at work. Many of these criminal rogues are reckless and quite unafraid to die. If a leader among their fraternity is seen to have been taken by the Reaper, retaliation like this does occur. Really, the capital has a never-ending supply of such scoundrels. So, do you mean that Lord Van Zieks has been attacked like this before? This isn't the first time? He's quite an accomplished combatant, you know. He doesn't take these attacks lying down. Although, it seems his assailants were armed with guns this time. Oh my goodness! Is he alright then? Is Lord Van Zieks hurt? My dear fellow, how on earth would I know?
Well, the article here it says, as to what if Lord Van Zieks in this condition, all will be revealed in tomorrow's morning edition.
I see. Well, we shall have to be patient then. No, I can't wait till tomorrow. In that case, you'll have to inquire with somebody in the know. But who? Lord Strongheart, perhaps? Man, they're really pushing me towards Strongheart, huh? Oh, hey, you're all dressed up, Hurley. Well, I must be leaving now. Yes, understood. See you later, Mr. Sholmes. Ha! You really are a shameless liar sometimes, my dear fellow. What? You seek to put me off my guard and follow me, don't you? Well, you would be wasting your time. I thought it hadn't crossed my mind, but now I'm wondering where you're going. Well then, see you later indeed. Listen to him. He's still laughing on his way out of the door. He's just going like, oh, the funniest shit I've ever heard. Oh, that's a new fit for ya.
All right then, Runo, let's get going.
Oh, Iris, what are you wearing?
I got changed to go to the Great Exhibition. You're going to take me.
What? But I was just about to go to the Supreme Court and...
Oh, well, that sounds fun too. You're gonna take me there then.
Don't hold me at gunpoint about it. All right, fine. Just lower that weapon, would you?
Of course, and after the Supreme Court, then we'll go to see the Great Exhibition.
All right. Well, actually, can we investigate? Can we do our daily duty and investigate the shovel? Man, it's so empty here without music, without Susato's theme, just giving me a warm, reassuring feeling. The office spade. Now that Miss Susato's gone, the shovelers aren't represented to correct me. Maybe I'll have to do it myself.
It's not a spade, Miss Naruhodo, it's a shovel. Ah, so you're a spader, are you, Bruno? What, you want to battle it out?
All right, I'm not gonna have argue with a native English speaker who has some kind of gun. All right. Anything to say? Yeah, it's just the hint thing, I think. Let's go to the justice office. The birds. Oh, it's been a long time since I've been with Strongheart. I forgot. Did I give him like a? I gave him like a deep, but not like overly animated voice, I think. If he's here. It's about 6 months now since I was last here, but some things never change. The sense of foreboding I always seem to feel in this place. Aww. Look at her reading her book. Doesn't seem to be bothering Iris at all, though. She's happily reading over there.
Oh, I love this place. I always find so many interesting books here.
Of course, I was forgetting that you've been here before. The time we came here 6 months ago. When Susato-san was given the news that she was to return to Japan. Ah, I understand you wish to speak with me. Hi, how you been? How's your facial hair? Still spiky. Oh, Lord Strongheart. I trust you've been keeping well? Let's see. Since you arrived and requested an audience, it's been 4 hours, 32 minutes, and 26 seconds. I've kept you waiting a while. My apologies. Oh, no, not at all. I'd like nothing more than standing around staring into space. Good to know. Good to know that doesn't appear to bother him at all. Male Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of London. He's the man who allowed me to start practicing as a defense lawyer when I arrived in Britain as a student. You need only savor the air for a moment in this grand office to understand his preeminent status. As you will be aware, the Great Exhibition of London is now underway at last. We're extremely busy as a result, policing the grounds, guarding new technologies, dealing with petty crime. And furthermore, as of next month, we shall open the International Forensic Science Symposium. Oh, I've not heard about that. Investigating authorities from 40 countries around the globe will be taking part, including from your own land. Oh shit, is that gonna be our excuse for getting Natsume back? Probably not. He's not in the sciences, he's in the Englishes. Forensic science is the future. The world must embrace it. As we're the hosting nation, I have much to do. It is my highest priority. If others must wait for my attention as a result, so be it. Well, it's nice to know where I stand. So, you wish to consult with me? Of course, I can very well imagine what this is about. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, my lord. I want to be allowed to start working as a defense lawyer again in court. That's what brought me here today. But actually, there's something else on my mind as it happens.
Bruno, just take a deep breath and come out with it.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna say it. Nice tits. I mean, what? No, I'm past the, like I said, I'm past the horny phase with him. He's just kind of here. He's like one of the ones I'm not really thirsting over. I actually came here today to ask for your permission. Go on. 6 months ago, my right to work in court as a lawyer was revoked, and I was told to spend my time studying. Obviously, I'm very sorry for what happened, but the thing is, it made me understand what it really means to defend somebody under the rules of a foreign justice system. And I desperately want to have another go. Please, permit me to enter the courtroom again. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? Here it comes. I'm sure you haven't forgotten your position here, have you? At best, you're a substitute for your compatriot. This was never your intended role. Well, that's true. The Japanese government actually sent my best friend on the study tour, not me. It should have been Kazuma. He was so determined to bring change to our own justice system at home. That was his calling. If that tragic accident hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here in this office now. Yeah. Mr. Osogi was my best friend, you see. That's why I can't leave it unfinished. I have to fulfill his calling for him. His calling, you say? Has it ever occurred to you that perhaps you know nothing of his true calling? Sorry? The mission with which that young law student was charged, what do you suppose it really was? What do you mean? Mission? He's not making any sense. Never you mind. I've read all the reports you submitted over the past 6 months. It's clear to me that you regret your actions and have been studiously obeying your revised instructions. Do you mean... As of this moment, I reinstate your license to practice law here in Great Britain. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful news, Bruno.
In fact, I believe I have the perfect case to mark your comeback. A curious affair. You'll consider it, I hope. Of course! Please, tell me more. You described it as a curious affair? Yes, that's right. I believe it was reported in the press. Are you aware there was a serious accident at the Great Exhibition yesterday? Oh, no.
Yes, I read about it. A professor from Germany tried to carry out a crazy experiment. Let me see, how is it described? Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, I think.
Instantaneous kinesis is in moving things with a click of the fingers?
That's right. It's just what my herbal blends need, a dash of devil-may-care.
Whatever this serious accident was exactly, it's clearly captured Iris's imagination. It's an unfortunate business. A large explosion engulfed the public experimentation stage, and a man lost his life. A certain Mr. Odie Asman. Odie Asman. That's gonna take me a bit to... It's gonna hit me over the head later, but I'm sure I'll get the pun later. An investor in a well-known figure in society. A large explosion? I mean, of course, I know they're not all puns, but I feel like that one is.
A man died?
The man responsible for the experiment was Professor Albert Harebrain. He was detained immediately after the incident and is due to appear in court tomorrow. On the charge of murder. What? Murder? If you intend to take on his defense, you should hurry to meet with him at the prison. There's very little time left for you to carry out any kind of investigation. The Great Exhibition, a scientific experiment gone wrong, and murder? I feel out of my depth before I've even started. Still...
We should go to the prison straight away then, and try to meet with this German professor. Don't you think?
Definitely. All right, let's go, let's go. Yes, one more thing about the case. Huh? There's a connection with our mutual acquaintance, the Reaper. Oh, for real? Okay. Oh, with Lord Van Zieks? How? All sorts of conferences have been taking place around the world to coincide with the Great Exhibition. And next month, the largest and most important of them all will take place at last. The International Forensic Science Symposium. It does seem as though criminal investigation needs to embrace scientific methods, doesn't it? Exactly!
Duh!
London, the global epicenter of culture, science, and wealth, now has a population exceeding 6 million. Sadly, crime in the capital is growing at a similarly startling rate, so it's imperative that we use the latest scientific methods to investigate and resolve cases as efficiently as possible, which is what's known as forensic science, isn't it? Exactly! The future of policing! Regrettably, however, Britain is currently dragging its feet when it comes to the adoption of forensic methods. Oh dear, that's alarming. Exactly! It's extremely alarming! If I were Her Majesty's Attorney General, you can be sure the numbers of crimes committed and resolved in London would be very different to the current figures. And I can cite 12 solid arguments and 225 individual reasons to support my claim. Damn, you did your research. Okay, I respect. Especially since I can only do like not even a quarter of that much less. Sorry? By way of apology for keeping you waiting earlier, I shall detail everyone now. What?
Oh, how fascinating!
It all began 15 years ago. I was, you know, and then, God, you know how it is with all these clocks and gears in here. It's just, but anyway, to my point. And anyway, that's when I woke up with a bag of jelly beans half shoved up my ass. What? Excuse me? And that more or less sums up my feelings on the matter. In the simplest of terms, of course. Essentially, to formally establish a forensic investigation division within Scotland Yard. That is my mission. Oh, right. Yes, that's wonderful. I was listening. Exactly. Wonderful is precisely what it will be. Iris isn't paying attention at all. She's got her nose in another book now.
Oh, is it over? Did you learn anything useful?
I actually drifted off for the most part. Don't tell him that though. I don't want to hear the context for a jelly bean thing. He's surprisingly ardent about forensic science. Look at this paper. Oh, that reminds me. Have you seen this? The reports of the overwhelming success of the Great Exhibition? Of course. No, not that. The story on the back page. What story? The Reaper attacked. Ah, that. You've enjoyed some victories in court against my #1 prosecutor, have you not?
Poor Mr. Reaper. What happened to him? He wasn't killed, was he?
There's no need for concern. Lord Van Zieks will not be so easily dispatched, I assure you. Of course. The pure, concentrated racism that courses through his veins refuses to let him die until he shows me what's what, right? Can you tell us what happened? I'd really love to know. Very well, if it interests you. It does, strangely. But wait, look at this badge. Or armband. I can't? I can't make him look at the... Oh, wait, I guess I gotta present again. By the way, Lord Strongheart, about this. The symbol of defense law in the Japanese judiciary. Oh, I didn't expect you to know that. We never accept foreign students before first researching the legal systems of their home countries. But such trinkets are merely for show. The only true measure of your worth is your performance in court. Yeah, right. Anyway, Van Zieks, what's up with him? Fortunately, Lord Van Zieks emerged from the attack unscathed. Speaking of Lord Van Zieks, I almost went into his voice a bit there. It really is just Strongheart, but with a bit more venom in it. Lord Van Zieks emerged from the attack unscathed. Street ruffians are no match for that man. He's a very capable fighter.
But that's incredible! They were armed with guns! Why was the attack, though? Do we know?
It's related to events that occurred a month ago. A leader of one of the capital's criminal organizations was indicted and prosecuted by Van Zieks. But the man was acquitted. I've no doubt large sums of money were involved behind the scenes.
Large sums of money?
A deplorable situation. Members of the jury were bribed, it seems. However, despite winning his freedom, the man in question met a dramatic end yesterday.
But you're not suggesting that was the work of the Reaper, surely?
The victim's henchmen clearly seemed to think so. He was a man by the name of Asman. Mr. Odie Asman.
Did you say Asman? That's the man who died in the big explosion at the Great Exhibition, yeah.
Yes, known publicly as an investor, but in reality, the head of a significant criminal organization.
Unbelievable. I wonder, could I ask you something, Lord Strongheart?
Try me.
Why do you use Lord Van Zieks as a prosecutor? He clearly has his, priorities where they shouldn't be. All the criminals who manage to get off in court then meet with mysterious ends outside the courtroom. That too! And fearful of that fate, they seem to strike at Lord Van Zieks first. And there's no evidence that he actually is the Reaper in that sense, but still, something's clearly going on here.
I have Van Zieks work for the prosecution service for 2 reasons. Firstly, the man's the best prosecutor in the capital, bar none. And secondly, any deaths of criminals that have occurred outside the courtroom following his trials are nothing to do with him.
But that doesn't make sense! How can you explain the way so many have died if not by someone's hand?
Van Zieks may have earned himself the moniker of the Reaper, but he is no killer, so he can continue to prosecute on behalf of the crown. Unless he wishes otherwise, of course.
Okay.
Well, I must be leaving for my next engagement. I'm already 11 hours and 16 minutes late. My colleagues may be starting to fidget.
11 hours late? That's quite something.
That meeting had already started but when I arrived back here for this engagement with you. So lateness was inevitable. Time stops for no man. I'm sure it stopped for me during those 12 solid arguments and 223 reasons.
Oh yeah, where would I find Lord Van Zieks now?
I would assume he's at his office. Oh shit, we're gonna see his office? Oh boy, I can't wait to see it. I bet some sort of looking like some kind of Dracula castle looking shit. Right, I'll go and ask him about the attack in person. I want to get this straight from the horse's mouth. Away with you now. I'm leaving Professor Harebrain's defense entirely in your hands.
Of course, yes. Thank you very much, my lord.
Iris? A new location has been added. We'll go to our victim in a bit. Not our victim. The victim's dead. We'll go to our clients in a minute. I wanna see this building. Oh, I was kind of right. It's not quite as Dracula-ish as I was thinking, but it does have a lot of. I want to say medieval flair. I don't know. He's also got a little chessboard like Edgeworth does. Not that I don't. They're not related, of course, but it's just neat. So does every prosecutor have a chessboard? Well, actually, no. I don't think the Gavins did.
Oh, so this is the legendary Reaper's office?
I don't think Nayuta did, but nobody cares about Nayuta. Yes, it appears so.
It sends a chill down your spine, doesn't it? What an amazingly deathly atmosphere.
Oh, is that, That hooded figure was so still I hadn't noticed his or her presence. I wonder who it is. What are you doing here? Duh! Oh, it's weird seeing him from the front. Oh god. Not as weird as seeing not as weird as seeing Von Karma from the front for the first time, but we've only seen this man at a I think it's the 3/4 angle, so he's as unwelcoming as I thought he'd be. Actually, maybe even more so. Oh, I'm glad to see you're well. I am.
So, who's the person over by the wall being, I want to say, punished for something or other? No punishment is taking place here. Oh? That's my apprentice, and he's sitting there of his own free will. I didn't know you had an apprentice. You seemed like the stone cold loner type. Must be the same person who was pictured in the newspaper. I mean, okay, yes, it did say his compatriot in the newspaper. Also, by the way, nice hat. I've never seen you with a hat before, but it looks very nice on you. He's very able in combat. A requisite skill for anyone under my tutelage. Are you referring to the attack on the Reaper that was reported in the papers? The Reaper? I'd be interested to know the Reaper's true identity myself. Assuming that is, such a fabled fiend genuinely inhabits our great courtrooms. Oh. Well, let me look around here first, because I'm very interested to like look at everything. Here's all his wine bottles and glasses. Look at that fine collection of hallowed chalices and bottles neatly lined up there. My hallowed bottles are filled with the essence of the finest grapes from the finest vineyards I visit. And I personally oversee those chalices being made by the finest crystal craftsmen in the world. Okay, rich bitch. And yet you throw them around in court like they were worthless. Again, rich bitch. Yes, because this imbecile is so unimaginably and repeatedly wide of the mark sometimes. Oh. Before you open your mouth next time, you should consider the poor artisans whose work you defile. So it's my fault? Silly me. How could I have ever thought otherwise? Being sassy. Lord Van Zieks' desk. Look! It's so stylish. That's a marble chess set beside it. Chess? That's the Western version of our Japanese shogi game, isn't it? You know, I'm actually quite good at shogi problems. Oh, really? You probably like chess problems in that case. I'd love to challenge Lord Van Zieks sometimes. Too bad of shogi problems. If you only want to challenge yourself, you can always do that on your own at home. Naruto turns out to be right. Oh well, nevertheless! We can't examine the swords. Man, I wanted to examine the swords. Oh well. What's this painting or some such? That portrait really dominates the room, doesn't it? Oh, is that like... it's a very majestic outfit and pose, but sadly, whoever painted it didn't do a very good job capturing Lord Van Zieks' facial features. Yes, you're right. I mean, it's not far off, but the artist has exaggerated his subject's handsomeness, I think. Ah, that reminds me. I heard Emperor Napoleon of France ordered artists to make him look more attractive when they painted him. How vain. That's not really an attractive quality in a person, is it? That portrait does not depict me. Surely that's immediately obvious. Oh, then who is it? Father, maybe? Brother? Not gonna tell me? Okay. Oh, look, it's a scale model of the Great Exhibition Showground. That's amazing. I wonder why it's here. Perhaps he made it to take his mind off the sadness of being too busy to attend in person. Perhaps he's too embarrassed to queue up for a ticket. Surely it's obvious I'm using it as an investigative aid. Duh! You Nipponese have no business painting others as overly reserved. I really didn't think he'd overhear that. Okay, nothing over here. I assume all these barrels are of wine too. Look at all those ancient casks lining the walls there. Casks in the Reaper's chamber, or are they caskets? You don't think all those people who escaped conviction in court are lying inside them dead, do you? What ridiculous notions are going through your head, man? This is my collection of fine vintages. Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you for clearing that up. Bruno and I were just musing to ourselves. Don't mind us, Mr. Reaper. I wouldn't if you hadn't invited yourselves to my office to talk nonsense within my earshot. Sorry. Sheesh. Sheesh. You talk shit, you get hit, I guess. Anyway, let's see this mystery man. Really does look like a punishment to me. I've never seen someone sitting like that before. He hasn't moved a muscle since we arrived. Do you think perhaps he's dead?
was dead, Bruno, he wouldn't be sitting up, would he?
Well, anyway, dead or alive, he's not overly approachable, is he? I don't think he's gonna talk to us.
He's not dead.
Man, I wanted to, like... We're gonna end up seeing his face later, I suppose. Ah! They were bats!
Yes, the Reaper's familiars, I expect.
What about the mute man in the dark cloak? I thought he was the familiar. Just not the flying kind.
He must be a dear friend of Mr. Reaper, then.
I think a familiar idea is more likely. Yeah, scary, though, either way. God, the man has bats. He really is a fucking vampire. I know everybody says it, but still. Anyway, I've been doing this every time. Look at this badge. I'm on a streak today. I know you've seen this around my arm before, but what is it exactly? It's the mark of a defense lawyer, in Japan at least. And what's your reason for showing it to a British prosecutor? Oh, well, I don't know, really. You think Van Zieks approach? Yeah, fashion montage. I picked out close together, and Van Zieks gave him a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Maybe. I can't understand, at least. Oh wait, I can understand, at least. There's merit in reminding yourself of who helped you become what you are today. Oh. But that's a personal matter. Something you may want to keep close at all times, not something to flaunt. No, I suppose not. Thank you for understanding, though. Achievement, inspirational roots. Damn, okay. We actually got an achievement that time. Neat. Look at this newspaper. Lord Van Zieks, about the article in this paper. Ah, yes. It seems there was a reporter nearby when that little skirmish took place. I had no idea I'd been photographed. It was careless of me.
It looks as though it was taken after the people who attacked you had run away, though. Nice hat, by the way.
Rest assured, the police have already apprehended every last one of them. But there's someone else fighting alongside you, it seems. I think it's the same man who's sitting over there as we speak, isn't it? As I mentioned already, he's my apprentice. Perhaps you could tell us a little more about him?
He really just didn't even respond to my compliment, huh, Bruno?
Lord Strongheart said the assault last night was some sort of revenge attack? True, carried out by henchmen of Odi Asman's criminal organization. The investigation meant their arrests were imminent. Presumably some hoped to kill me before that happened. Odi Asman. He's always masqueraded as one of London's most powerful financiers, a global investor. His enormous wealth came to him by underhanded means. His criminal activities.
And he used that money to buy himself a verdict of not guilty when he found himself in court, didn't he? Being prosecuted by you, Mr. Reaper.
But the man got his comeuppance in the end. Yesterday, in fact. In extraordinary circumstances. His most unusual cause of death. I know about that. It was super high voltage instantaneous kinesis gone wrong. Mr. Asman died when the demonstration on the public experimentation stage ended in an enormous explosion. Correct. You think I have some kind of divine ability to cause an accident like that to happen? Do you? Well, no, that does seem a little far-fetched. If this man really is the fabled Reaper, then he has to be innocent of this particular death at least.
It's strange how this worked out, isn't it, Bruno? I mean, what with you taking on the professor's defense for a trial tomorrow?
What? You're going to be defending him? Oh, yeah, that's right. Though I barely know the man's name yet, to be honest. Albert. Albert Harebrain. That's right. Do you know him by any chance? Of course. He's a contemporary of mine. We were at university together.
What?
Damn, y'all went to the same college? Did you share a dorm? I'd understood that Professor Harebrain was from Germany, though. Harebrain's from a respectable British family. After graduating from the University of London, he moved to Germany to carry out research. That's all. So you were students together. I was in the Faculty of Law, of course, and he in Science, so our paths rarely crossed. But curiously, we got along, though I've not met him since my university days. I certainly didn't expect our next encounter to take this form. And with you, of all people, representing him. Only if I make it out of this office alive. He's actually been charged with murder, it seems. Yes, I know, because the prosecution will be handled by me.
But by you? But you made it sound as if you and the professor have been friends.
We are friends, it's true.
Then why would you do this?
If the Reaper is the prosecutor, there's nothing anyone can do to save him. He's doomed.
What's Lord Van Zieks thinking?
What do you mean by what you said before? If you'd like to know Reaper's true identity, does that mean?
By the way, in Japanese, his name is Benjamin Dobenbo, which roughly translates to dirt poor. Damn. I'm a crown prosecutor and immortal like any other. I'm no demigod.
They've all died, haven't they? The people you prosecuted, I mean. Whether or not the trial ended in a conviction or an acquittal.
Those I prosecute are the vilest wretches of our society. People who without question deserve to be found guilty. The world is a better place without them.
But that's not true of Mr. Natsume, for example. He wasn't a vile wretch at all.
Oh, was Ginny. In fact, she's ever so hard-working now.
Well, that's nice to hear. We haven't heard from GINA in a long time, you know? I'd like to see her again.
I can't deny that since I've encountered you, things have taken a turn. But the point is this. If any of those vile wretches that escaped justice subsequently died in mysterious circumstances, it was the hand of their own kind. It's not my work.
Lord Strongheart said the same. He believes you're not involved in any way.
But you were attacked by those ruffians because they believe it's true.
The fact is, since people started to call me the Reaper of the Bailey, the number of serious crimes in the capital has dropped substantially.
Oh.
It appears even the most hardened criminals can be made fearful for their lives.
Do you mean to say...
I mean to say that if my pseudonym serves a useful purpose, I adopt it gladly and with honor.
But it's putting you in danger. You could be killed.
If that is my fate, let God decide.
Lord Van Zieks. Damn, okay, he's a little more noble than I gave him credit for, I guess. I mean, if he's doing, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm still not, like, on board with him. But, you know, I can respect a little bit, I guess.
He's in my tutelage to become a prosecutor. So you could say he's my apprentice, I suppose.
Ah, like you are to Hurley then, Runo.
I don't remember taking an apprenticeship with a great detective.
He's currently compiling a report about last night's attack.
It looks like he's wearing some kind of mask.
On Lord Strongheart's orders. Nobody knows the man's face, or indeed his identity.
But why would you agree to take on such a clearly suspicious individual?
Lord Strongheart's orders, again, he's not one for meaningless follies. There'll be a good reason for his actions.
I hope you're right.
Who are you?
Duh!
The task is complete? Good. In that case, you can collate all the briefs.
Nice to meet you? Back to work again. That was really strange, though. I've never met the man before. I didn't even know he existed, and yet somehow it didn't feel like our first encounter.
Don't bother trying to converse with him. He says nothing to anybody outside this office, from outside this office. Lord Strongheart has strictly forbidden it.
Oh, I see.
Why are you so interested in my apprentice anyway?
Oh, no, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to. The way he stood there so casually, yet with that flawless posture. It couldn't be.
Oh, I have an inkling, but if they're leading me with that inkling, then that definitely means it's a red herring. So I'm not going to say anything. Ah, yes, there's something I've been meaning to ask you.
Oh, what's that?
That Nipponese man, is he faring well? Sorry? The one arrested twice in succession 6 months ago, with the stoop, and the mustache, and the jitters.
Ah, Mr. Natsume, you mean?
I'm not sure he'd be very pleased to find out you identified him from that list, Runo.
He's fine, thank you. In fact, I received a letter from him by international post only the other day.
I see. Well, I think we can end our discussion there, don't you? There's little time left before tomorrow's trial. I advise you spend it investigating the case.
Yes, thank you for the advice and for the conversation. I can't believe he's asking after Shoseki-san. After a Nipponese. I'm not sure whether to feel happy about that or worried.
I never imagined Mr. Reaper would be friends with a mad scientist, did you? That's a turn up for the books.
A mad scientist? Ah, you mean Professor Harebrain. Yeah, it might be worth quizzing the professor about his relationship with Van Zieks, I think. Nothing else? Okay. Let's move to the prison then. I've left my client waiting too long. Ah, there he is. The man that had like that whole ass animation earlier. That was lovely, by the way. The warden said cell 11. That's this one.
Oh, there's someone curled up in a ball in the back corner. Look.
What was his name again? Professor Albert Harebrain, wasn't it? Excuse me. Professor Harebrain?
Who are you?
I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a defense lawyer.
A lawyer!
Was it something I said?
A lawyer, you say? What would you be here to, about the experiment? Are you going to defend my hypothesis?
Your hypothesis? Sorry, I don't...
Yesterday's demonstration! That magnificent demonstration was... It was an out-and-out success by anyone's calculations! But despite that, no one listens! No lawyer believes in the science! When it's explained, they all leave at high velocity!
Now's probably not a good time to mention that your zeal made my concentration leave for a while, too. Alright. First, let me show you the newspaper.
How could this have happened?
You must feel awful. As well as the man losing his life, the Crystal Tower was greatly damaged, too.
I know what happened! It must have been that!
That?
The day before the demonstration, I had my usual meal of frankfurts at the hotel restaurant. When I paid the bill, they gave me 3 shillings too much in change. But instead of saying anything, I just slipped the coins into my pocket. They're still there now. It's divine retribution for my wrongdoing. That's what this is.
For a scientist, he has some very illogical anecdotes. Long and illogical. Look at his badge.
Ah, fascinating, yes.
In Japan, where I come from, it's the symbol of a defense lawyer. Wearing it is very bracing, I find. Look at his movement.
Your words make some sense to me, but they are entirely illogical.
What do you mean?
Well, for example, I find this white laboratory coat that I wear for my work very bracing too. Well, for my case, there's a perfectly logical reason for that feeling.
Oh, really? What is it?
I purchased the wrong size by mistake. This one is too small for me. The sleeves especially are extremely bracing. I can barely move my wrists.
That's what you call logical, is it?
Of course, it's entirely logical. That's science, Mr. Naruhodo. Science!
All right. Sure. Let's talk.
You mentioned the demonstration yesterday.
The papers have called it a spectacular failure. After all, the man died in the explosion, didn't he? Yes, you could interpret the results that way if you really wanted to. Well, I suppose in the strictest sense, the experiment was a failure, but at the same time, it was a great success.
You've lost me.
I saw it with my own eyes, right here in front of me. Mr. Asman was spontaneously disassembled. Until then, everything was going exactly as my calculations had predicted. At that point, he should have been beamed to the crystal tower by instantaneous kinesis. However,
The machine exploded and Mr. Asman, in fact, perished?
yes, I can't deny that part of the experiment was a failure.
So what you're really saying is the large explosion that killed Mr. Asman was an accident, correct?
But the bigwigs had you arrested on suspicion of murder. I was responsible for a man's death. That is the immutable truth here. And for that, I wish to be punished. At once! But, murder? Never in a million years! It was an accident! Simply an accident!
I see.
Hurley and I were talking this morning, you know. He said the situation would change completely depending on whether it was treated as an accident or murder.
How exactly?
Well, if it really was an accident, then the professor's machine will be kept in protective custody.
On what grounds?
Ah, yes, it's newly established here in Britain, the Scientific Suspension for Scientific Equipment Act.
That one passed me by.
But if the case is treated as murder, then they'll say my machine was... Then they'll say my machine was the murder weapon! They'll say they'll be able to pour over it as much as they like. If they examine it in detail, they'll find out how it's made, then they'll be able to copy my idea! My precious hypothesis will be stolen! Your machine must be protected from that at all costs! That's why it's imperative this whole incident is shown to have been an accident in tomorrow's trial.
Ah, I see now. So in short, there was a terrible accident at the Great Exhibition Showground yesterday.
Yes! Or rather, no, the devil is in the details. Strictly speaking, there was a terrible explosion.
Sounds the same to me.
You were demonstrating super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, weren't you? How fascinating! Humans, like all matter, are made up of particles that are held together by electrical bonds. So it must be possible using a sufficiently high voltage to break those bonds and beam the particles through space. That's it in a nutshell. That's my idea, you see. That's my amazing hypothesis.
Gosh, that's unimaginably high-level science.
Oh, but dare to imagine it. Dare to dream of such incredible technology. Just think, one moment I could be here in the cell, and the next, I could be in the Great Exhibition again.
Well, yes, that would be incredible.
And the next, in the mere blink of an eye, I could be at a great Parisian theatre, say. The possibilities are endless. The whole of our vast planet could be within reach.
So no more hiding in wardrobes on rocky seas for 50 days.
I don't really see it like that.
What do you mean, Iris?
Well, if you could travel anywhere in the world instantly, the planet wouldn't really seem vast anymore, would it? I think it would feel like it had shrunk. My word, that's exactly right. What are the implications? What does this mean? Ah, that's got Professor Bunnybrain really worked up by the look of it.
Clearly, this is yet another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should. Your scientists were so preoccupied by whether or not they could. Yeah, that jazz. That was before your time, Ryunosuke. That was after your time, I mean. After. God, my timeline is so fucked up. I keep thinking, oh right, this game came out in 2021, but then I remember, oh yeah, Meiji era, racism. Okay.
The point is my calculations are flawless and science works. Without practical demonstration, it means nothing. That's always the fly in the ointment. Because practical demonstrations cost a lot of money. Most money that young scientists like you don't have. That's exactly it, yes. Hurley's always complaining about it. He says the government should invest more in science. Well, anyway, I bumped into him at the right time. I met the well-known investor, Mr. Asman.
The victim who died in yesterday's terrible accident, you mean? Bloop. Okay, wait. I want to hear about the varsity years first. I understand Lord Van Zieks is a friend of yours from your university days.
Well, yes, that's right. He was studying law whilst I was studying science.
What was he like back then?
Good question, yes. A good question indeed. Unassuming, gentlemanly, and all-around nice fellow, really.
Sorry, I think you misheard me. I'm talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor, Barrick Van Zieks. What was he like when he was at university?
Talk about a leading question, Runo. As I said, unassuming and extremely pleasant gentleman.
I might need to rethink this voice. It's reaching like a certain like pitch that I can't quite maintain without my throat like really giving out. And I thought Natsume was a bit much for the voice I gave him. I'll have to think on it, but for now I'll keep doing the voice.
After all, he's a little darling of the Van Zieks family, with all of its great aristocratic origins. I didn't realize he had such noble blood.
Little darling.
It was a bit of a shock when I came back to Britain and learned what he'd become. The Rip of the Bailey, no less.
Yes, that's right.
I did hear, though, that there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation.
Really? What sort of event?
I'm sorry. I don't know anymore. I wasn't in the court in country at that time. I was in Germany already.
Oh, yes, of course. If he's heard all about the Reaper, I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Van Zieks will be the prosecutor in court tomorrow. Yeah, maybe best to leave that, I guess. The full name of the man who died in yesterday's accident was Mr. Odie Asman. Wasn't it? Odie Asman. Odie Asman. Odie Asman. I must be missing something. What exactly was your relationship with the man?
He first visited me in my laboratory in Germany a year ago now. He said he wanted to invest my immaculate hypothesis. I thanked my lucky stars.
I see, so you hadn't really known each other until then.
Money for scientific research? Oh, I'm so envious. As far as I was concerned, the man was an angel. An angel!
Oh, really?
An archangel. Archangel, even. He was prepared to fund a practical demonstration of my hypothesis for a presentation at the Great Exhibition. And if that went well, I can expect additional financial support for my research from the British government. Mr. Asman provided me with money and an exceptional engineer. He produced a machine for my precise specifications. But then your dreams were blown to dust in one enormous explosion. As you can see, I owed everything to Mr. Asman. I would never, ever have thought of taking a man's life.
Well, he seems genuine enough. I don't think he's lying. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying? You had no intent to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work, is that correct?
As correct as 2 squared is 4, I swear it! Yes, it's true that the man perished in a machine of my invention, so I know I'm far from brainless in all this, but still! I would never use my discoveries, my inventions, to take a person's life! Not in a centillion years! I'm a man of science! It's all I know! You have to believe me, please!
Do you believe me? Do you believe in my hypothesis?
Science is the pursuit of truth, you know. I've always believed in that all my life!
I'm afraid I don't know much about science, or your theories, but I do believe you, and I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law. It's all I know. You have to believe me. Please.
When I went to live in Germany after I graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage, none of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything.
I really wish some people understood that the same way you did, sir. Thank you for that, Professor.
And thank you in advance for defending me tomorrow in court. All right, Runo. It's time. Let's visit the Great Exhibition.
Sorry?
Well, I mean, that's where the incident happened, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate at last. Alright, let's go. Oh, fancy schmancy. But also, busted up over there. The showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now, and I felt myself swooning 3 times.
There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times too.
Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through We finally made it through the throngs, though, by the look of it. Here we are underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. Eh? What's that? I can hear voices from up on the stage. It sounds like an argument. Ah! 2 of my favorite people. Right, I've had it with you this time. I'm a-warning you. I'll arrest you in a minute.
Oh yeah? Go on, Spectre. Give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence and you know it.
Wait, I know those voices.
You got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady, but a night in the cells will teach you some manners.
Her new drip is great, by the way.
Just try it, I dare ya. If you want that bag of chips rammed down your throat. Yoo-hoo! Gramsy, what are you doing up there?
Damn, he ran down fast.
Ah! Ah! It's you, here. You're here. Here you are. You, here. Your ladyship. How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship.
Does that make her 3 times a lady?
I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride the balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue.
Unbelievable. I'll go and have a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying high as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for ya.
Tobias Gregson, Inspector at Scotland Yard. Until recently, he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And for that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be.
Watch it, the sunshine.
But sorry.
What gives then? Don't tell me you're on this case, eh?
Yeah, I'm acting for a defense.
So we're here to investigate.
Dear me, that's the situation, is it?
Is it really that troubling?
A measly 5 bob? Is that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't you? You could stand to carry a bit more copper around your pockets, Mr. Nara-Odo.
What? Hey, that's my last bit of spending money, that is.
You can have it back, but I'll have to charge you for all the bother. 3 bob.
This is GINA Lestrade, a pickpocket, or a diver, born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago, this is the young girl I was defending in court.
What's your problem, eh, Odo? Diver, pickpocket, what's with all the name calling? You want a bag of chips rammed down your throat and all, do ya?
I thought you were proud to be a diver, GINA. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you'd been up to your usual tricks here at the showground.
That ain't no way to talk to a lady, Odo. Half a year's a long time. People can change. I'm an apprentice now. Learn to be a Scotland Yard detective.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So you'll have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now.
Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely.
The inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth, anyway. Investigating is all for the cards for all of us.
What's that supposed to mean, eh?
Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, alright?
Right, sir.
This raises a lot of questions.
Ah, the theme. If only I wasn't a little sick of it because I was fucking around with a shitty mashup earlier that I was trying to make with it. which you could have heard the rough draft of if you arrived at the pre-show. For some reason, the ground is damaged in this spot. Look, almost as if there was a fire here or something.
Yeah, if you look closely, there's some scattered ash and burnt embers too.
Well, I suppose there was a big explosion just above here. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this would have been. What? People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this would have been. That. Okay.
I'm not sure we English are quite that laid back, Bruno. Ah, it looks as though somebody just dropped something behind the tree just here.
Dropped? Or hit? What is this? Some part of the machine that exploded?
Maybe. It could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps. Oh, what's going on here?
Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this just in case. There should have been a comma. Ah, okay. Fair enough. Happens to the best of us.
Oh, look, what's this? A red piece of cloth.
It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. Looks extremely durable.
It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well.
Maybe that means it had something to do with the explosion.
Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn.
Piece of green cloth. A torn piece of canvas-like material backed with rubber that was found under the experimentation stage, the exhibition grounds. There are scorch marks at the edges. Oh, we can't talk to the boyos guarding the gate. Okay. Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt name. It's built to be the focal point of the exhibition. And it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan.
There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. I heard you have to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors.
Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw.
And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut.
Surely it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower.
Apparently everyone's taken to the skies now to look down at the disaster area. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now.
Londoners must be very patient people. From what I hear from my British friend, my in real life British friend, not really. Some people can be a bit rough. Games always portray London nicer than it is, apparently, from what I've heard from him. This platform must have been set up for the experiment, I suppose. It's very high up.
About 30 feet above the ground, apparently. That's what a policeman I just spoke to said.
I don't really understand feet very well. We don't use them in Japan. Yeah, fuck them. Fuck feet and inches. We use the metric system here.
Oh yes, sorry, it's about 9 meters. But soon you'll have to been in London a year, Bruno. It's time you get used to our measurements.
Yes. Well, the thing is so tall, the spectators at the front would just have seen a wall and nothing else.
They thought they'd secured the best spot to watch from, only to be disappointed.
There's a saying in Japan, the darkest spot is right under the lighthouse. I feel like it probably applies here. These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment is being conducted. Wait, no, I don't want to go up there yet. I didn't talk to GINA. So that's it, is it? The machine that blew up.
Oh, it must have been a magnificent explosion, and I've seen my fair share.
You've seen things like this before, you mean?
Of course, Harley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry.
Ah, that might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs.
One time he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof off of the building. I wish you'd been there to see it, Bruno.
It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof.
Well, anyway, that's about enough of that. It's time to investigate.
Not yet, I want to go talk to GINA. Oh, look, Inspector Gregson's over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully.
Really? He just looks confused to me.
Oh, I gotta like walk back down. Bleh. How do I get back down? I don't think there was another option. Hold on. Let me try going to a different place and see if that makes me go back to the base. Because I wanted to talk to her. Hey, GINA. It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered GINA in connection with a case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder.
I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Ginny. Well done.
So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective?
You got it good, innit? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of a book, eh?
I bet that is a reference to a Sherlock thing. I haven't read too many of those stories, though, unfortunately. Talk about a sea change.
And then there's Iris's old man to think about.
Iris's father, you mean?
Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? I said I'd get all the police forces around the world to pull out all the stops looking for him.
Just a small promise, then. Nothing serious.
Oh, Ginny, you're so sweet. So anyway, that's how come I had to go for the test at Scotland Yard. Only trouble is, I don't read so well, do I?
Just a small problem. Nothing serious. Inspector Lestrade is one of the detectives who bump heads with Sherlock, like Gregson. Ah, okay.
And that's when Hurley approached Gregson and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Ginny and made her sort of apprentice.
That was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson. And brave.
Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants.
A great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words.
So the long and short of it is, if you got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade.
Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding GINA, isn't there?
Oh, what, Runa, what?
Well, 6 months ago, GINA was the defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty, and yet here she is still.
Come on, you're not still about that, are you? The Legend of the Reaper or whatever it's called. Cool, you don't have to worry, Odo.
I didn't half worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left.
It's like I told you before, isn't it? The Reaper's kind of like him upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside. They ain't really done nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong might be stretching a point.
What about Mr. Notsme in Japan? He's perfectly fine, right?
Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought.
Exactly, so I ain't worried. I'm totally fine. Cool, it was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled a bunch of levers on his machine and suddenly it started billowing smoke. It just went pop. I ain't seen a better experiment here yet.
Sorry?
I mean, you saw it, Ginny, with your own eyes? Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, ain't he? Keeping everything running smooth, I mean.
The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. That's gonna take some getting used to.
So all I have to say is that I'm on duty and I can do whatever I want to. Get this, I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above. No, you're so lucky, Ginny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Yeah, do it. You know how to put the boss in his place already, right, Iris? You'd have no trouble at all. It's settled. When do I start?
No, you can't join Scotland Yard, Iris.
We'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. When she exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success?
Also, I don't really care how smart she is. I just seeing a fucking 10-year-old run Scotland Yard, basically, from what we see of it at the very least, between these three would be that would be a sight to behold.
Oh, right. Well, it was a success in a way.
It was. How can it have been? Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could have called the experiment a success.
Nah. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke and that whopping great bang. But where do you think they found the victim's body, eh? In the crystal tower over there.
What? In the tower?
You can see for yourself, can't you? Up there above in the scaffold. Above the scaffold. Oh, where all the glass is broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage what the victim got in the start with really did get beamed through the air or whatever and landed all the way over there.
Oh, might have gotten a bit too much to drink in one gulp.
So you see, it did kind of work, didn't it? What? I don't believe it. I mean, I don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you could have this. It's a planning experiment they drew up at the yard.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go on. I had 3 bob off you, so fair's fair.
Yeah, I didn't actually give that to you, did I? The sketch of the experiment has been entered into the court record. Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange.
For what it's worth, anyway, investigating's off of the cards for all of us.
Yes, naughty old Gregsy ran off after that without explaining himself. Oh, right, that. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday. Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant.
In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations?
Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither. Why? What did the boss call them again? The forensic investigation team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, isn't it?
So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate? Yeah, I've never heard something like that before.
I thought I could have a gander on the quiet, though, but the boss caught me at it. You probably heard him giving me an earful about it before from down here, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair.
I think you were giving it as much of an earful back as I remember it.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. You say something to him, Odo. Go on, see if you can get through to him.
He's up on the platform above us, is he? Where the machine that exploded is.
We can try, can't we, Rudo? Grancy will listen to us.
Alright, but first, you're gonna have to tell me about, Actually, you don't have to tell me about shit, but look at my badge. This armband is proof. In Japan, at least, I'm a defense lawyer.
And this badge is proof that I'm a detective. So you're all gonna have to start calling me Inspector Lestrade.
In that case, you'll have to start calling me, well, anything but Odo.
I could call you Defender Nara Odo if you like. But it don't really trip off the tongue.
No, it doesn't have a great ring to it, does it? Fair enough. Now, you know anything about this? Gina, would you take a look at... Oh, where'd it go?
Looking for this, Odo?
When did you do that?
I wonder if you've got anything else to show me, eh? What do you reckon?
Give that back, please, first, come on.
Let me take a look at the sketch. There's the little beam and the towers at the base here. Okay.
Oh, right, we have to click on that. That's a weird progression thing. Anyway, did I actually professionally... Yes, no, wait. No, I didn't. No way, I didn't.
That's where the cove ended up after his instant kinesis or whatever they call it. Dead, of course.
And yet they're calling the experiment a success?
What's the wooden scaffold there for? Yeah, the coppers, our lads, set that up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. I don't know, really.
Didn't you help to erect the scaffold then?
Nah, lookout duty's more my thing. Wandering around the exhibition and keeping a lookout for the fun stuff.
Mind Gregson doesn't hear you saying that, or he'll give you the boot. It's incredible though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged the gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? Huh. Hey, Greg Z. There's so much to look at here. Oh my god, oh my god. Okay, well, let's start with the machine in the center. Ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it?
Magnificently and mercilessly.
So somebody stands in the middle of a machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air.
Yeah. Beamed, not blasted. That's the point.
Yeah, that part's crucial, really. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris?
Oh, Bruno, I'm just a child. How should I know?
A child when it suits you, you mean?
From what I can tell, I think if you were to pull this lever here...
Stop! Don't touch that!
That was practically instantaneous kinesis the way you flew over just now, Gregsy.
Please, your ladyship, I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here.
I'm so sorry. You would have some of my latest special blend to make up for it.
Wonderful! This stuff really is wonderful. Just like old times, this is. We're representing Professor Harebrain in court tomorrow, Inspector, so we should be allowed to examine the scene. Ha! Listen, Sunshine, even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. It's a blasted special dispensation for a Scientific Equipment Act to blame. It's driving me potty! Oh yeah, that special dispensation. Professor mentioned that too. More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes.
But we're allowed to just look, aren't we?
Oop, didn't mean to click that. Whoop.
Eh? Surely that's all right, isn't it, Gregsy?
Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say. But please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will ya?
Oh, don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Bruno?
She really knows how to get what she wants, what she really, really wants. Now tell me what you... God, now that's also been stuck in my head. Partially related to the mashup shit. Ba-ba. Ba-ba. Well, actually, let me see if I can actually look again or no. Nothing particular of note. Oh, wait, that wasn't... What do you mean nothing particular of note? There's a box there! Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Harebrain was lucky to escape unscathed, I say. We should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think. Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung on myself, you hear? I won't touch a thing, I promise, so please stay your thought for your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could actually disassemble people like the professor claims? He asks, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, Sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. But we can't, can we?
Because of the annoying rules, you mean?
Exactly! The annoying, obstructive, flaming rules! Oh, look at the base of the machine there.
Oh yeah, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh.
It's a screwdriver, I think.
Oh, isn't it a lovely one? The handle's in the shape of a capital letter A.
It is? Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, what's the matter with you? Don't touch anything, I said. Touch anything, I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung on myself, I said. Yes, I understand, sorry. I only touched it a teeny weeny bit.
But Gregsy, I'm very curious about this screwdriver. Really very, very curious.
Gosh, your ladyship, you're so clever, fancy spotting something like this. But I'm afraid I can't let you have it.
But Bruno found it first.
I assure you I'll investigate it thoroughly, okay? He's gone off with it.
That was very mean. I'm afraid Inspector Gregsy is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now.
Poor Gregsy. Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Harebrain was only going to save. Look at the machine. Oh God, no! Wait, we've already said all this. God, look at that fucking thing. Also, look at the balloon. So those are people carrying balloons, dangling silently in the skies over London. I always thought the day would come when humans would discover how to fly, but I never imagined it would involve them being suspended from colorful, floating Tamari handballs.
I'm sure it must feel amazing being up there among the clouds. Let's take a ride together, Bruno, please.
To be perfectly honest, I would like to try it. Without a cast iron guarantee that the thing won't plummet to the ground, I'm too scared.
Oh, well, in that case, I should tell you what Hurley said. It's physically impossible for a flying balloon to plummet to the ground, as long as it doesn't explode. Yeah. Call me crazy, but I think that explaining part might play on my mind a little bit.
Alright, let's examine the big old laser blaster. The amazing horn-shaped device is pointing towards the crystal tower. I suppose once people are disassembled by a machine, they're shot out of that thing to go wherever they're supposed to go.
I don't think we're supposed to shoot anything, Runo. We were sent to beam people to the crystal tower where they'd be reconstructed in their original form.
Well, I don't like the look of it. If it was as amazing as it looks, the accident wouldn't have happened in the first place, of course.
I suppose that's true, yes, but
Nothing ever goes according to plan, does it? Okay, I guess that's it up here. What is that gigantic thing over there? It looks like an enormous water wheel.
that's a Ferris wheel. There'll be people riding inside those little cabins you can see.
Why?
Well, they rotate nice and slowly, so it's a wonderful way to see its surrounding scenery.
Wait, it's turning? But it looks completely still.
Yeah, that's because it's turning so slowly. One complete revolution takes about half an hour.
If you were mad enough to go in one, it would be more fun to whiz around fast, don't you think?
I feel as though you might just invented a new sort of ride there, Runo.
Careful it doesn't go too fast, though. It might go down off of the rails and start chasing a British gentleman. Alright, what else we got around here? Alright, nothing there, nothing there. I guess there's that palace in the back. There are all sorts of strange buildings here in the Great Exhibition Grounds, aren't there? I seem to remember something similar being exhibited in Japan one time.
Oh, in your country, Bruno? Oh, I do wish I could go and see it. I present a particularly steely samurai, with the presence of one of Hurley's stories I'd written especially. I'd see if I couldn't get Hurley into a jam against some Bartitsu master ninjas.
You might not find as many of those sort of people around as you think.
Oh, well, that's dull.
Oh, but I do know a prosecutor with a John Mod's top knot I could introduce you to.
Oh, really? Do you think I'd have my picture taken with him, do you?
Assuming he's recovered from the trim Cosma gave him a year ago, yes. Well, I mean, he may be getting another trim. So I'll say to you, Bruno. Alright, Greg Z. Let's talk! As a detective, what do you make of this? Personally speaking, 9 times out of 10 I find clues turn out to be red herrings. So there's every chance that's totally irrelevant. It's actually a fairly persuasive argument. And concise and to the point as well. Anything about this? Inspector, have you read this paper? Yeah, 2 unwelcome blasts back to back. This one at the exhibition and the Reaper getting attacked. Ugh. I know. Terrible news to wake up to, wasn't it? Tried to pretend I hadn't read it and turned over for another 40 winks. Thanks to that, I was late up and got a roasting from the super. Some mornings are like that, aren't they? This is the symbol of the defense lawyer where I come from, Inspector. Well, it doesn't pass muster here in London. You might as well chuck it into deep fat fryer. No one's ever said that to me before. Mr. Sholmes suggested I feed it to a dog, though. If you fry it first, you can feed it to me. There's still metal in that thing, though. Does he think it's made of potato? Using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body and then beam him across the crystal tower, it's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public. True, it was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition, mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean. And the government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than the odd spot of public safety infringements. If they can be the first to develop some new technology, it makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see. Yeah, I suppose that's true, in a way. So the powers that be are placing a heavy emphasis on scientists' rights at the moment.
What sort of rights?
They're making it so that any theories that the brains have remain their legal property, as it were. Right through developing it to a practical idea and even going into production. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch this crime scene. It's a new highfalutin special dispensation, but you know, the act. The act, you know, that's what I'm going to call it now. I don't give a crap, eh? It's just the act now. I see now. The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the yard. The Forensic Investigation Team, it's called. We've been relegated to keeping guard. The Forensic Investigation Team? Any old fool can see that this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. Just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it!
Poor Gregsy, he's very het up, isn't he?
Remind me again, what's this act that means we're not allowed to touch the scene?
Are you having me at it, sunshine? It's the act, you know, the act.
No, I asked you for the full name. I'm not saying the name. Make me.
Yes, I think Hurley mentioned that recently, with a real twinkle in his eyes, I remember.
I'm sure he did, your ladyship. I'm sure he did. That's especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions to some suits in the civil service. And if it gets rubber stamped, that's a guarantee of rights to maintain the invention's confidentiality.
What does that really mean, though?
And think about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me, put forward by shammers like yourself. Thanks for that.
Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions here are. It's all so fun.
It might be fun to you, but a member of the force has to be present at every single demonstration. You imagine it? Hang science, that's what I say.
Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job.
You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shammers' bogus contraptions. Well, if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point. Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly. Sorry? Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas. If there any theory of the inventions that's deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant.
Scientists get funding?
Exactly, and that's what they're all after. All these shammers coming from far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. You know what's to keep them all safe, eh? Who wants to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. So you can see why I say it now, can't ya? Hang science! Hang it!
Oh, maybe I can see your point.
I'd say hanging is a little excessive, but I get where you're coming from. Apparently, Professor Harebrain lives and works in Germany now, conducting his research.
That's alright. Came back to Britain especially for the Great Exhibition, as I understand. Probably after one of the government's research grants.
Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today. About his time in further education, it turns out he was at university with someone we both know. Lord Van Zieks.
Eh, what's that? That's news to me.
But if Van Zieks mans the prosecution, then as the accused, the professor's fate is sealed? Because the Reaper will get him one way or another?
Ah, blimey. The man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zieks, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. You read that?
Oh, yes, but Mr. Reaper is completely fine. Nothing to worry about.
Ah, yes, right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, how long's that business gonna keep up, I wonder?
The victim of this case, the inspector, Mr. Asman. He was another of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard.
Lord Beric Van Zieks, the top class of prosecutor. But even he can't always push the right verdict. Sometimes justice just can't win.
Yeah, but I've heard jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, right?
Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zieks initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands if he failed to seal the deal in court.
Although the man himself denies that charge.
Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we reached is that Lord Van Zieks is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would.
But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't have just coincidentally died if nobody killed them.
I don't know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper. Professor Harebrain mentioned something else. He said that at university, Van Zieks was a totally different person. Easygoing, kind. You what? He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened to change him. Do you have any idea what it was? No clue. Really? Look, I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, eh? Alright, are you done here, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Isn't it about time you were leaving? Or rather, it is about time you were leaving. That lot are here now.
That lot?
The forensic investigation team. They'll be giving me the heave-ho in a minute, too.
Oh dear, poor Gregsy. Here, have another cup of my special blend to cheer you up. Have some chalky milk because you're epic.
Oh shit, that's that good stuff. Ah, it's every time. I'm feeling more epic by the second. Well, at least I've seen the scene with my own eyes. Looks like this is as far as we're going to get with our investigations here, at least.
I've been thinking, Hurley might know something, mightn't he?
About what?
About Mr. Reaper!
About what happened to Lord Van Zieks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he?
Here, this is what you need.
What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madam to Spells. Is this supposed to mean something to me?
You don't know it? It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We can go now if you like.
No. We don't have time for visiting attractions today, Irish. We have a big trial tomorrow.
Yeah, but that's where Hurley is.
What? At this popular London attraction?
Yes.
How is it that you know where he is?
Hurley told me. He told me to keep it a secret from you, Bruno. Oh, also I have a tracking device on him.
You what? You have it on me? Madam to Spells? I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but again, stranger things have happened, and when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. Well, let's go check it out. A museum of interesting waxwork exhibits not far from Baker Street. It became a very popular London attraction in recent years. Why not? Eh? What is this place? Oh, new eerie sounding music. Look at all these terrifying scenes, but why are the people so still? Guillotines, ruthless murderers, I know what I'll be dreaming about tonight.
They're all wax models. They're amazingly realistic though, aren't they? What do you think, Bruno? Shocked?
But they're wax models? I've read about the dead bodies in wax once in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, parts of them can turn to wax, apparently. It's called a adipocher.
Stop talking about creepy things like that, Bruno. You're scaring me. Anyway, that doesn't really form readily, you know. It's only in very specific...
What now? I've just remembered something else I read in another magazine about strange phenomena. There was an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over corpses and put them on display.
None of the exhibits in here are real. They're all entirely man-made replicas.
They can't be. Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at them!
Oh.
There's no way anybody can make models of people that are this realistic. Man, they're all such gruesome scenes. Hey, Hurley. Wait.
What is it?
Oh no. I must be seeing things. What's with this though? Is that an arm?
Looks like an arm, doesn't it?
Maybe one of the waxwork models has fallen over.
You don't think it could be the work of one of the mass murderers in here, do you?
Runo! Stop scaring me!
Is it a wax arm or a real one?
Come on, you're always pointing that finger of yours in the court. Poke that arm now and see if it feels.
Objection! That big heavy curtain is a very prominent position, isn't it? I have a nasty feeling there's gonna be something truly terrifying behind it.
Oh yes, that's the famous Tussville Special exhibit. It depicts one of England's most notorious killers. You wanna pay the extra fee and have a look?
Pay more money to be even more terrified? Oh, let me think about that for a moment.
It was only a suggestion.
I mean, we should investigate to the best of our ability, shouldn't we? Yeah. These models are so well made, I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human.
Or maybe all the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about.
Just thinking about it makes me wish it was closing time already and I was on my way home. Boo. All right, let's look around. Oh, I thought we were gonna get a full 360 for once. Oh well. Is this some infamous murderer?
Yes, called Jane the Ripper. All her victims were young women.
You know, I was wondering if we were gonna get like a Jack the Ripper type thing. I was wondering if that was gonna come about. I guess this is the closest we're getting. I knew it! You could tell by the way she's holding that knife. She's a sign of a murderer.
Well, yes.
Ugh!
What's the matter, Bruno?
I've worked it out. I know what she's doing. She's trying to fill that bathtub with blood so she can have a soak in her victim's gore.
Not according to the information about the exhibit on the little board here. Doesn't mention anything about the bathtub.
Really?
Sorry, I don't think it's significant.
I still think there has to be a reason. It has to be there for a reason. I do love the atmosphere here. It's very unique compared to everything else we've seen so far. All right, let's look at. Oh,
that's a funny place for a little ladder. What is it? Is something wrong?
no, it's just in Japanese we have a totally different word for a ladder that folds in half like that.
We do in English too, you know. It's a step ladder, or just steps. So be careful of making assumptions about other cultures, Bruno. That's how wars are started.
Didn't realize step ladders were an international point of contention. But the writer makes an astute point. So we do have the old bit back. Okay. Is this an example of Western Sujigiri?
I don't know what that is.
No, when an unscrupulous samurai randomly attacks a passerby to test his sword?
I still don't know. No. But actually, a waxwork samurai would probably be hugely popular. Could you model it, do you think, Bruno? Doing that Sujigiri thing you mentioned.
Well, I do have a sword, but I have no intention of testing how sharp it is on a human subject. For now, at least. It's the great detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes has his own wax statue in here? Really?
Well, he is world famous after all.
It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? It makes my skin crawl to look at it.
I know! Isn't it fascinating? But look, Bruno, you can kick this Hurley. He doesn't move a muscle.
You can't go around kicking the exhibits, Iris. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit either.
Really? Did it?
And look closely. There's beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there, look, there's a great murder scene to enjoy. Much more appealing. My dear fellow, I take exception to your recoiling in such a manner, as if you've seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Sholmes! I knew it. Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruhodo. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? And that kick! Could you not have exercised a little more restraint? You winded me!
Winded by a 10-year-old girl. Damn.
But Runo has something he needs to ask you.
Ah, a question.
And I thought you'd probably be getting bored too. So here we are.
Well, I can't deny your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes more being stationary like that, and my great brain, upon which all my success has been built, would have turned to wax.
Thank goodness we arrived in time.
Indeed, in many ways, the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss.
Oh, Hurley, you do like to talk nonsense, don't you? What a silly little man. Are you going to crack a silly funny man?
You could know something, it's true, about Lord Van Zieks and what happened in the past to change him. Now that you're here, let us take our time. How can I be of assistance? For your own luck, I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing.
Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry.
And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Moreover, I have a strong suspicion that is related to the matter about which you've come to me now. But how could it be? We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow, but for now I must return to my work.
What? Back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? Take this shilling and buy a caramel. What is this place?
Madame Dispel came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London.
There are museums like this in Japan too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actual real people, are they?
The extreme realism of the waxwork models is a particular secret of the Taspel's family, they say. They earned renown during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine.
That sounds grim.
The gruesome scenes were portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned.
Apparently the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses right there at the site of the executions.
That really turns my stomach.
That's just one of several legends about the Taspel's family. Whether there's any truth in it, I couldn't say.
But anyway,
This museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum by quite some margin is this House of Horrors. House of Horrors? Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition. People usually flock here to see the exhibits of London's most vile criminals at their most gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows.
so they're even stiffer now than the models of them.
Have you heard of poor taste? My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked.
So the hideous exhibits in here are...
They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place.
Is it just me, or did the temper engineer just suddenly seem to drop? Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here.
Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? Tell me about your future career, buddy. What do you mean by a temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes?
Exactly what you see. I'm part of the exhibit here, catching these criminals in the act.
Catching them?
Every half an hour, I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us.
Us? Does he mean him and waxwork murderers in here? But why, Mr. Sholmes?
My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money!
He really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors.
As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent, and I have the ravenous iris to consider.
Oh, Holly, I'm so hungry.
If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Naruhodo. What's he threatening to rope me into now? So, with that in mind, how about a photograph, eh? As a special treat, you may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours. Maybe some other time. Remember, Mr. Naruhodo, ignore me at your peril. Back to being a waxwork again, eh? Is it just me, or did his final remark there sound a lot like a curse? Well, what is it you'd like to ask me then? Actually, it's about Lord Van Zieks. Ah, our friend Mr. Reaper. How did you find him? Well, I trust. And so I filled Mr. Sholmes in about everything I'd learned about Lord Van Zieks, about Professor Harebrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. Oh my god. They were roommates? Yes, they were roommates, but what I'm wondering was... I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Van Zieks such a different person.
I was sure that you know Hurley.
You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before, that something was afoot. That you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Mr. Sholmes, he's suddenly clammed up. Well, it seemed to have reached the unavoidable... Greetings. Oh? Yo, Manuela? From Fire Emblem Three Houses? Oh, hello. Where did she appear from? I mean, of course, Manuela doesn't have the witch hat, but like the hair, like tipped me off immediately. It was like, oh shit. Looks just, it's like a match almost. What's she wearing? Could she look any more mysterious?
I hope you are appreciating my museum.
Sorry? Have we, Mr. Sholmes, do you know this? Not again!
My apologies. I am Esmeralda Spells. This is my museum of waxwork.
What? You're the Madame Spells?
Bien sûr. That's only 26 years young, I might add.
Is that significant somehow?
I'm a madame in name only. It has a certain je ne sais quoi.
Right.
Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks. Or rather, one waxwork in particular.
That'll be Mr. Sholmes then.
I was to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. Next time you move from your designated exhibit, there will be toil and trouble. She sounds deadly serious.
That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Van Zieks now?
Let's not forget about what Hurley said before, about something being afoot. Right here in the museum, I mean.
Yes, I know, but...
I'm so curious, I want to know what's happening here.
Haven't we got enough on our plate already? Alright. So tell me, did you make all these waxworks, Madame Spells?
I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh! It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. Though that is when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to the astonishing lifelikeness. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks were created in the presence of the real people on which they are modeled. In the hours immediately following their executions, that is the secret to the extraordinary lifelikeness.
That sounds terrifying.
All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see.
Why couldn't the public wish for something less horrifying?
Do not fear.
Sorry?
This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians. Something for every taste, I hope.
It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it.
Sorry, but I have to sort of ease you into things.
What's the situation with that?
Ah, my temporary waxwork model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal.
Oh, what sort of proposal?
My dear madam, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective.
Or words to that effect. Naturally, I am well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective.
It's a great detective, actually. He's very specific about it.
Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree terms.
Let me guess, someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services?
For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax at this very moment.
Or words to that effect.
Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch.
Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment, due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead.
Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing, though, does he?
I would think not, but he was very insistent.
I have a 50-shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning.
It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem.
Is the consulting detective work not going so well? Tell me about what's afoot. There's evil afoot.
I wonder, could I ask you something? Bien sûr.
I'm just curious. Is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps?
Whoever suggested such a thing to you?
Oh, well, it was, your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned to me, oh, he's disappeared!
A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Ah! There you are!
Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working? Do you wish to be melted down?
My dear Madame Tispels, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns.
The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police.
Why ever not, huh?
She's turned as white as a sheet. Because you have at your disposal a great detective, whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer... No, I insist upon payment in advance.
Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we?
Before I engage my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain?
That is the Tuspel special exhibit. There's an extra charge to see it.
Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. Must have picked a special killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder?
Absolutely non. There is nothing amiss behind there.
Nothing amiss, madam. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond before the situation worsens.
Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a soukon.
I must ask, what's soukon?
No! Sholmes, no! I know I mispronounced it wrong. I know I pronounced it wrong. I don't know French very well.
I must confess, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The Tuspel special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer once would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however?
Hey!
There's the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor.
He looks like one of the jurors from the previous case. In fact, I think that is one of the jurors from the previous, like, case 3 in the first game, I think. Well, then perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman. Not even a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. So, allow me to present my 2 conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit.
Why would you say that?
And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime.
Ah!
She looks as pale as candle wax.
I don't understand.
So, Madame Suspels, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Oh, we're really doing the great deduction now? Okay, God. We aren't going to be able to examine much my fucking ass. We've been here for 2 hours. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some £200.
That is all my own money.
So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Suspels. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the £200 was revealed by that public notice. No, at the angle she's at, she literally can't even read that, I don't think. Waxwork for sale? Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. Well, I mean, she would know, I guess. She would know what's on there, I guess. In short, you sold the infamous killer, the centerpiece of your special exhibit, for the sum of £200.
No!
Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you.
Ah!
Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow is, of course, the £200. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively.
What are you suggesting?
He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for a sum of £200. Man, when he stands up like this, fucking kingpin built looking ass. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result? The scene we see before us. He collapsed in shock. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer price. We only pray the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret. No, hon. No, Sholmesy baby, no. I'm sorry, I don't think so. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands. Let us consider that problem for a moment.
You cannot possibly.
Oh, but I can and I will. What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. Such is worn by policemen as a secret sign to the fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Sholmes, you know policemen. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay.
What are you talking about?
The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at last year's policing awards.
But
next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely and he hasn't moved a muscle. Almost, in fact, as if he were a waxwork.
But you...
Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that easily proves whether or not this old man's waxwork is the obvious price tag. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't question. I mean, well, actually, no, wait. None of the other waxwork is up for sale. Threepence? A tragically low price, you might say. Though, perhaps for the going rate for aging waxworks, where it cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behaviour that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madam?
I do not...
Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police. It remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Oh, hey, honey. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. No, Sholmesy. I'm gonna need you to rewind a bit, as we do here. I see I've stunned you all into silence.
You have, Hurley. You have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot.
If I could just bring up 1 point, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the notorious murder hodo 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So that would mean he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Ottomo. Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find a culprit disappeared into the ether.
It turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Ottomo.
So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be? Indeed. It's a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well. But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages, if that puts things in perspective. So it is quite a lot, then.
Is there anything else you wish to add before I melt you down?
That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous.
The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me.
Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I might have to call on your assistance here, Iris, if that's all right, to make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions.
Of course it's all right. We'll soon set things straight.
All right then, let's get started, shall we? Before Madame Tispel vents her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Tispels, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. All right. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Topic 1, Waxworks fate. All right, yeah, let's review. Let's review your half correct theories here. Okay. What exactly is afoot in the museum? The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes from your bag. Some £200.
That is all my own money.
So what does this large sum of money reveal? Not as much as the involuntary glance you cast. The answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the £200 revealed by that public notice. That's like down though. She was glaring very clearly to like in front of her. She definitely looked in the direction, it's true. But
I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks, even for £200.
oh?
She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything.
For that much money, I would, but it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, I wonder if the £200 could have some other significance.
Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it.
I don't think it makes you a bad person for wanting to sell that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that seems like, I don't know. That seems like regular commission work to me. Oh, what's this?
What's that note doing pinned on the wall there?
Although, I guess if you're just selling the art, it's not commissions. You have to make the art specifically for it to be a commission. Right. Oh yeah, let's see. Dear Madame Tispels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for a safe return is £200. Have the money ready by noon on the 23rd of October.
What?
It's just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone's kidnapped.
It's a ransom note.
Exactly. I'd say that's it. Let's go. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that ransom note. Quite so. I must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness, abducting our waxwork. 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put all together the money I have. In summary then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Oh. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It appears the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt with the man to such a shocking blow is, of course, the 200 pounds. So the waxwork was kidnapped. Where does that leave us in terms of who the man is?
We just ask him when he comes around.
I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris.
Yeah, you're right. Hurley's trying so hard, we mustn't let him down.
Right, well, there's little doubt he suffered a shock. That much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tispel's trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. Let's take a look at more clues. 200 pounds. What's that on her person right there, though? Investigate the braid. Madame Tispel has very long hair, doesn't she?
Yeah, but you couldn't tell by looking at it from the front.
You know, it looks rather like a whip, don't you think? Oh, hey, Doggle. Sure, a whip that could have floored the gentleman with a single crack.
That seems a little far-fetched, even for you, Bruno. She's not Shantae.
What are you talking about?
Oh, right, that hasn't happened in this time period.
What, no, elaborate! Ah! Alright, Ah! Bitch, what's your hand doing down there?
This is just Madame Tispel's right hand, isn't it?
This is my favorite case, and I literally missed half the story. And we're still in the first part of the investigation. I think that's all we're gonna be able to do tonight. So, I mean, probably won't be too much amiss. I just like these characters. Fair enough. Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all.
Oh, but wait a tick. This is a left hand as well. Look.
Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please!
And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really odd.
You mean it's made of wax? That seems like a thing. I forgot what even happens in the trial. Oh, okay. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape, it ought to be your right hand. A closer inspection reveals that it's in fact a left one. Duh! And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madam. It is the hand of a waxwork model. Duh! That ought to do it. Some of the visitors to my museum can be, troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try and remove it as a souvenir. No small keepsake. Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms. I'm afraid I had to teach the man a lesson. You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back. And the result? The scene we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later. For the time being, we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. Kidnapped? Yep. That would, yep. Checks out to me. Question that arises then is, will it become the waxwork? Let's consider that problem for a moment. You can't possibly. What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man over there. Over there! Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. No, wait. We need only observe his neckerchief. According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway.
A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that closely guarded by Scotland Yard.
Why do you have that as a soundboard? I have a lot of things as a soundboard. Uh-oh. Babe, come on. You should know me. I'm a shit poster. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard. That's that Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away. I just don't use it very often because I don't want to overuse things. I do have other ideas I want to implement, Lazoggle, but I'm running out of buttons. Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away.
Well, uncovering secrets is any true detective's nature, of course.
Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Tispel's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' induction, I think we might not have identified the man quite correctly. I've seen hats like this in Japan as well. They're called flat caps, aren't they?
Yes, or hunting caps. Hurley's cat is called a deer stalker, by the way.
Hunting? Stalking? The British certainly seem keen on catching game. Every time I see a deer stalker, I automatically think of Mr. Sholmes. But a flat cap makes you think of a Japanese country gentleman somehow. In other words, people from all walks of life wear all different types of hats, so that doesn't really help us. Well, we already know the neckerchief ain't it, so... What else? What else is... Ah!
Take that!
That's where the arm is from. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stub. No such boneless human walks this earth. Of that I can assure you. Can I get a, boneless human? In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact defying all odds. A waxwork model. Seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes.
He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man.
I wonder if we'll meet him in some case, unless he's dead. Naturally, what other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. When watching closely, he doesn't move the muscle, almost as if he were a waxwork. Actually, only confirmed some suspicions. I only noticed it after the price tag. A killer policeman called Ottermole, was it? Was he well known?
It was all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's very low price, though. Tuppence isn't much money.
Only enough for a few measly hours of gas at Mr. Garridub's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is the special killer taken from the special exhibit, is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for 200 pounds. Is this crusty old killer policeman, Ottermole? Really?
Perhaps we should have a good look around and see if another idea crops up.
Hey, wait a sec.
Look at this! The old man's tapping his foot like crazy.
Seems to be fast asleep, though. He's not tapping his foot consciously, then? So you mean...
It must be a twitch. Never mind that. The point is waxworks don't tap their feet. Or twitch.
And look at his arm, too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we?
Take that!
The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is... Twitch.tv/PurePerry. Subscribe now for such emotes as Coggers. And if we get up to 15 subs, we may even get a second slot for an emote. I'm sorry. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives, then. And there you have it. Well, Madame Tispels.
Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He's clearly fatigued. He is sound asleep.
But then, what's this about showing a price of 3 pence, eh? No doubt the price tag on the muffler was the old Bobby personally reaches How did this trip me up? No doubt the price tag of the muffler was the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market.
And I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm. Does that not strike you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the secret sign that's used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is underway. Of course, because as you know, there's been just such criminal activity here, as you deduced from the very beginning, Detective. So, it would seem that we finally arrive at the truth. The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Let's go. I'm taking a drink of my water. Good. All sorts of people visit my museum here. Men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway. Oh, she smiled. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe. It was a pleasure, my dear madam. I'm gratified that you enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it was indeed genuinely abducted. Yes, tragically it was. And I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork. In as much detail as possible, if you please. Very well. But after I have told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work. The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. All right, let's talk. Give me the information. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. It was some days ago now, when I came in here once this morning. I immediately noticed that a waxwork was missing from the special exhibit here. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place. The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then. So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose? Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I would say. The Professor. Leighton? No, no. What a good British gentleman. He would never commit murder. Not a name I've heard of. Holmes, but he talks like the slug in Monsters, Inc. I'll be watching you, Naruhodo. Always watching. So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry, I had a bit of a... It seems I still have a bit of a fly in my throat. Ugh. The Professor case happened around the time I was born, didn't it? Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly the time. That Barak van Zieks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying... So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life... It was that. As you've surmised, with the Professor case. Shit, damn, okay. Who is this Professor then? It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death. And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction. But I don't understand. How is this all related to Lord Van Zieks? You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the Professor earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest.
What do you mean, Hurley?
Those murdered by the professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty, sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the...
Wait, of course! What Professor Harebrain said. Lord Van Zieks is from a family of noble blood.
Oh, gosh!
He was the 5th victim that led the professor to the professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... Clint Van Zieks. Oh, shit. Is that his papa?
No! I don't believe it! Van Zieks?
I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother, okay. The young Barrack pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually became the Reaper we know today. I had no idea Lord Van Zieks had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter, for the time being at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit. You can't just, okay, fine. Go back to your funny little wax thing. It's 11. I'm afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Oh, yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bum, 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 bum. Well, none of the projected scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here.
Oh, shit! It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barrack.
It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places.
I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Asman. I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen.
Tomorrow the court will decide.
Yes, I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident, a terrible accident. He assured me he could prove it.
I must warn you.
I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes, since I've returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Barrack, are you really?
What?
Never mind. I know that you have my best interest at heart.
My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else.
Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barrack.
Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. I'm gonna have to wait till Friday with that fucking cliffhanger. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Alright, well, this was a long investigation, so I think I'm gonna cut it here, and we're going to continue with the trial on Friday. So, thank you for coming, thank you for staying, thank you for watching the show, and I will see you all next time with whatever is in store with this fantastic game. See you then.